disrupted.
America that I fought.
Weird thing to happen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. In the UK, this is disturbing to see what your future is going to behold. But they are proposing that by 2030, EU citizens, not just the UK, but all European Union nation citizens, will be composed to a digital ID by 2030. Now, we're already seeing clips and, little tidbits here and there all around the world because the World Economic Forum is basically using little countries like the UK and Canada and elsewhere around the world as their own kind of laboratories in this kind of drive for the fourth industrial revolution in order to control the means of people and restrict them of access to certain things, but then also, compromise the social benefit of it. That is kind of what, people like Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates and all these, philanthropists are trying to envelop in this. And it's just downright insane and criminal. And it's just basically just a new form of a global fascist situation. So this came about in this article from Reclaim the Net saying that the EU wants all citizens to have a digital ID by 2030. That is what they're proposing here. And it says the digital ID rollout is accelerating with little attention and not enough pushback. The European Commission has set aside £46 million, or about $49 million, for the controversial European Digital Identity Wallet, an upcoming smartphone app that will allow citizens of all 27 member states of the European Union to store and share a digital ID. The money will be invested in pilot programs. The wallet could be used for presenting travel credentials, registering a SIM card, opening a bank account, and accessing services like social benefits. For the pilot projects will involve 250 public and private organizations in almost all member states, as well as Iceland, Norway, and Ukraine, and will run for a minimum of 2 years, biometric update reported. The projects are supposed to help member states prepare for the European Digital Identity Regulation, which is currently being discussed in Parliament. The projects will also be the block of a step closer to achieving its goal of providing all citizens with a digital ID by 2030. And somewhere right now, Tony Blair is jizzing his pants because the former prime minister was definitely on board with this before we even knew about digital IDs. He was trying to promote this like some sort of QVC telethon. He was going, media after media after media. Well, wouldn't it be just so much easier if everyone just, gave their information right to the government, accessibility and convenience? Not at all about total control. Not at all about regulating and dictating on what assets you're allowed to have, what bank accounts are you allowed to have, what food are you allowed to eat, what kind of purchases are you going to make? Are you okay to live in this neighborhood? I think you should live over in this neighborhood. It's not at all about total control, as they keep reminding us. But we know better. We know better. Some, however, have expressed security concerns with the project, arguing that storing so much data in one system would attract cyber attackers. It remains a challenge to provide the highest level of security given the deepfakes that you can inject into the system, said Jean Kierman. I can't even pronounce that name. The CTO of France Identity during a seminar on the e-wallet, EID wallet scheme in Brussels. So this is what they're proposing in the European nations, is that everyone will be forcibly, well, probably voluntarily at first in this beta run, and then forcibly going to a digital ID because of the convenience, because of the access, and how acceptable it is for normal society that we just give all of our personal information, all of our data, all of our individual decisions, allowing that to be dictated and decided by a corrupted government. and a bunch of corrupted elitist globalist empire like the World Economic Forum. Because what can go wrong with that? What can go wrong with giving all your choices, all your freedoms, all your all that towards corrupted goons that have control and massive stakes in massive companies and massive assets around the world? What can go wrong with that? According to people like Tony Blair. But a lot can go wrong with it. And you know how dangerous this is? So the former vice president at Pfizer is warning people about digital IDs. The former vice president at Pfizer, the biggest pharmaceutical giant on planet Earth, the most corrupted, biggest pharmaceutical giant on planet Earth. The former vice president is on interview here with Wide Awake Media and the Children's Defense Research. He is warning people about digital IDs and digital currency. And this is incredible that someone of that stature, who was part of a corrupted institution, no longer part of that, is warning people of what's to come. And listen to what he says.
I've said repeatedly that I think at least an end game could be to force you to have digital ID and to use central bank digital currencies, and cash eventually will be, either withdrawn or impractical to get, or vendors, won't take it and so on. And I point out to people that if you have to show a unique digital ID before you can do anything, like buy gasoline or food, or maybe even enter a supermarket or buy anything, then that means that the person controlling that database, if they want to set a condition like you have to be up to date with your vaccines, then they've effectively forced you to roll your sleeve up, and they can inject you with whatever they like, even a poison, a slow-acting poison. Now, obviously, they're not going to tell you you're being injected with slow-acting poison.
I just can't believe this is coming from the words of the former vice president of Pfizer. Because the current administration at Pfizer will tell you that it's just a friendly reminder to inject yourself with our chemicals. It's not dictating. It's not forcing people that you can't, go out in social gatherings or go to get your groceries or run errands. It's not to dictate over that. It's not to, have massive control over the general public and tell people you need to dose up, making us richer. It's just a friendly suggestion. It's a friendly suggestion that, hey, if you want to get into your friend's birthday or go see your grandparents or have a wedding, you need to roll up, inject, and go along with our demands. That's what Pfizer's currently doing. And this guy, who is the former head, is speaking out against this. It's miraculous.
I'm telling you that I think you're going to be injected with a slow-acting poison. And this is going to be one system. It won't be run by your government. They will have no influence over it. It'll be run by some Uber tech company. Who's setting the validity conditions now? Is it the WHO? Is it somebody with lots of money that doesn't like you? I mean, you've no idea. There's nothing you can do about it. It's not susceptible to democratic editing. So I've made a public statement, which I hope I don't regret, to say I'm not signing up, because I think that's the first step. And I think the second step, central bank digital currencies, that we should talk about, especially cashless. Now, at that point, if you want to eat or move or even buy a bottle of water, you are now completely in the grip of whoever runs those systems. You've got no anonymity of any transaction. And if the algorithm decides that you're a bad person, or you're too far from your registered address, or there's an R in the month or whatever, the system automatically will use an algorithm and just say it will deny you the transaction. And you can't even argue with someone, because you'll find your digital pass won't function beyond whatever radius they let you have. You are on a leash. Do you remember during lockdown? These people can apply the cattle leash to all of us at any time, and they will. That's the whole point of this. You do not need it, they need you to have it. That's what they're going to do with it. And so I know it sounds weird, but I think this is the totalitarian takeover of humanity followed by depopulation. It's the most logical explanation. And even if I'm wrong about the depopulation, do you want to live in a world where you've got a digital leash around your neck that limits where you can go, when you can do it, what you can buy, from where? That sounds like the worst excesses of Soviet Russia or China. So if we allow it to come into being, it's the end of human freedom for.
I don't think it's crazy. I mean, I don't think it's crazy that it definitely sounds like totalitarianism. Absolutely. It's absolutely barbaric that we're basically on a hypothetical leash. We're basically treated like lab rats. We are, the World Economic Forum's test monkeys. We're their subjects. That they're improvising these, digital IDs and social credits and behavioral modules and, how we have to change and shape and form society in a way that pleases them the most. So I don't think this guy is crazy. I think he's definitely on point. But what is crazy is how they're trying to promote this as much as possible by all the lucrative advertisements. I've seen a lot more on social media of the convenience factor and how, well, if we're in a cashless society, think about how you don't need a wallet then. And you'll have more room in your pockets because you don't have to carry around that heavy wallet full of cash. You just have it all injected into your arm or your wrist, and then you just wave your wrist around like some sort of Harry Potter dark magic, and you can just pay for everything. That's the crazy part. That's the crazy part, is how they're trying to sell this to people is absolute demonic in a way. I don't use that term often, and I refrain from using that term because of how many implications people have used it, and considering I'm not religious myself anyway. But it just seems so insane. But he's definitely on point with the fact that it is like a leash. It is totalitarianism, and this is all in part of global stakeholders and their future and how they future society, how they want to shape and form society that better fits them. And here's just proof of it from Klaus Schwab himself, the head of the World Economic Forum that sounds like a toilet cleaner. I know I keep making that joke, but it's always funny to me. Klaus Schwab, that definitely sounds like a toilet cleaner. Hand me the Schwab. What kind of Schwab? A Klaus Schwab. I got a little gunk in the back of the drain. But he's definitely a form of Dr. Evil, Yertle the Turtle, and every single James Bond villain combined, including Mr. Burns. Like, think of every single Legion of Doom supervillain you've ever seen in your life and compile that into what looks like the guy from Six Flags. I think his name was Mr. Six. I don't... One that did the dancing. Anyway. Well, here's what he had to say. This is what he got interviewed by the India Today, their local program here. And this is what he envisioned the future for him and his buddies, his stakeholders.
Who will really command the fourth industrial revolution and its technology like artificial intelligence?
What's your sense of who's best placed at this time to lead the world into the fourth industrial revolution? Because you pretty much created this term. We're seeing the kind of technological strides that China has made with Huawei, with the 5G technology. Do you believe that this could potentially be China's time once again?
We should make here again let's say a differentiation. On the one hand, we have state capitalism. On the other hand, we have shareholder or private capitalism. So it's a clash between two systems. I believe that state capitalism in the short term provides certain advantages because you can mobilize in a concentrated way a lot of resources to reach a specific objective. But I believe that the future is not state capitalism or shareholder capitalism. The future is what I call stakeholder capitalism, which is combined with a social responsibility.
Oh, good. Goody. So just more evil, nefarious monopolization, globalist efforts, but with a smile. And they're hip with gay marriage. They're hip with, trans people. They're okay with the younger population, and they're in the groove. That is the sickening future of these people. That it's just going to continue on. They're going to monopolize and take over and dominate and destroy and just become this global empirical force using to oppress us. But at least they can do it with a smile on their face because they feel obligated to be a little bit socially conscious. All the philanthropy that Bill Gates mentions or Jeff Bezos or any of that's what that is. That's exactly what that is. That's what rich people philanthropy is. It's what's good for the business, what's good for monopolizing. How do I become a international superhero? By looking good, but also doing the most evil. It's like when an arsonist puts out its own fire. Well, we're going to claim him a hero because he put out a fire, but you also don't realize that he started his own fire. So, there you go. That is where the digital IDs are coming from. That's where the digital currency is coming from. This is all because of stakeholder capitalism with a social conscience. That is why they're trying to promote this as a convenience, as a measure, as, trying to promote, not hating people, saying that this is not for discriminatory reasons, and that's why we're doing this, so we can have a peaceful society, as we're also controlling, manipulating, obfuscating, oppressing people, and dictating exactly how they should live. That is a new form of fascism that even Adolf Hitler and Mussolini couldn't even imagine. That this is happening. And this is what they consider the fourth realm of the Industrial Revolution. That we're just going to be completely surveilled. We're going to have all of our information given to these people. They're going to decide everything for us, from food to banking to clothing to television programs to everything. If we go out to the movies, who we should be dating, so on and so forth. And how even our governments, even though we're supposed to be sovereign nations, how we're being puppeteered by these globalist, corporate nightmares. These are like the Darth Vaders of the world. And they're doing it behind closed doors, and we don't know about it. And the media's never talked about this. The media is never going to show this interview because they're following the footsteps of what the World Economic Forum is promoting. They're being bought by people like Bill Gates. They're being bought by people like Jeff Bezos. They're being bought by the rich and powerful megalomaniacs. These sociopaths that have no respect for humanity, but yet also feel that they need to do something socially credible for humanity. It's a bleak world. It's a very, very bleak world. I was going to say bittersweet symphony, but even that, it's not even sweet. It's not even bittersweet. It's just an awful, disturbing glimpse into the future. And I don't know how people can abide to this. Because it is not about convenience. It is not about safety. It is not about anything that they're saying. You got to look really hard to understand that this is about manipulation. This is about control. This is about dominance. And the more you know about these people, the more transparency that they are revealing, the more we understand how we're being oppressed and how we can maybe stop this.